Stephen A. Smith just said the words "the W" swinging for Sophie Cunningham and against Brittney Griner, and he didn't hold back on either one. This happened right after new shocking details about Griner started spreading, the kind of details that change how you look at every single game she's played in the WNBA, the championships and gold medals she has won, and her repeated attacks against the league's biggest star, Caitlyn Clark. Stick around, because we're here to lay out what's actually being said, what Stephen A. Smith thinks about it, and why Caitlyn Clark keeps getting caught in the middle of all of it. Show your support for Sophie Cunningham down in the comments below.
This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. That's what this is about. You can't be a male, born a male, transitioning to female, and think that you should have the right to compete with women. Not in basketball, not in football, not in boxing, not in the UFC. Hell, not even in tennis.
Before we break down how Smith destroyed Griner, let's first look at the questions fans keep asking over and over. You'd think after a few years they'd fade out like every other internet theory, but instead they keep growing, picking up new pieces of evidence every few months. And once you look at what people are actually pointing to, you start to understand why this thing has legs. Start with the prison claim. The story going around says that when Griner was detained overseas, she was allegedly held in a men's facility, not a women's one.
WNBA crew are very fond of virtue signaling, but even when it comes to Brittney's exchange for like the Merchant of Death, which is insane, by the way, but had that been just like a straight white girl, my guess is that straight white girl would probably still be rotting in a Russian prison.
Then there's the videos. A clip from Griner's own social media account sat on the platform for half a year without ever getting flagged. Social media sites build algorithms to catch and remove exactly that kind of content automatically, no human review needed. So the question people keep asking is simple: why didn't it get flagged? The theory going around is that the platform scanned the image, read it as a male chest, and moved on, because that's literally what the software is built to allow. That's not a small technical glitch either, as the exact same video staying up without a single automated response.
Flag you, Brittney. Let me see something real quick. Brick, thank you. Get the hell out of here, yo. Yo. Jab stepping, it's the brick. Swing and a miss.
Oh!
Yo, I ain't gonna fake it right now.
That this person is not a female. Firstly, because this was actually posted to Brittney's personal Instagram.
Now bring in the DNA test. There's a claim floating around online about a leaked DNA test, one that allegedly shows Griner's genetic makeup as male. It's out there, it's been shared thousands of times, and it's become part of the same conversation as the prison claim and the Instagram video.
When it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors, but specifically the AI detection to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a bare female chest, we have to take this down. It obviously assumed that Brittney was male.
Here's what's strange though. Through all of this, Griner's camp has said nothing. No statement, no denial, no lawsuit, nothing on record pushing back against any of it. And the WNBA, an organization that moves fast when it wants to, like when they investigated Fever fans over unverified claims about Angel Reese, has stayed completely silent on Griner. No clarification, no statement, not even a "these rumors are false." That silence is deafening when you compare it to how quickly the league jumps on other controversies involving its players. So you've got the prison story, the shirtless video, and the DNA rumor all stacking up at the same time. And that pile of unanswered questions is exactly what was sitting in the background when Sophie Cunningham opened her mouth. Her comments didn't come out of nowhere. They landed right in the middle of a conversation that had already been building online for months. That's why what could have been one more hot take from one more athlete instead turned into a national story overnight, with people connecting her words directly to everything swirling around Griner.
We have heard nothing from the WNBA, absolutely nothing.
Confirmed or not, the WNBA's refusal to say anything at all is what keeps this fire burning. And while all of this was happening online, something even more real was happening on the court. Something Fever fans didn't have to read about because they watched it happen live right in front of them. 14 minutes. That's how long Stephen A. Smith went on his own show, and he didn't spend 1 second of it dancing around anything. He said flat out what a lot of people in and around the WNBA have been thinking for a while but wouldn't say on camera. And the person he went after first wasn't even Griner directly. It was Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve for wearing a Trans Kid Belong shirt during a nationally broadcast game against the Indiana Fever.
We gotta stop this. We gotta stop acting like somebody that's speaking up on behalf of girls, like a Sophie Cunningham, like a Riley Gaines, are scourges of the earth. You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against an individual born as a male?
Smith called it irresponsible. His argument was simple. Reeve coaches a women's basketball team, so her job, in his eyes, is to protect biological women in that sport, not make a political statement live on national television while the league's biggest draw is on the court. He pointed right at the moment and said, "That's what Sophie Cunningham is talking about." He wasn't being subtle about it. Smith accused Reeve of having no regard for the WNBA or its sponsors, and called the whole thing selfish, saying she put her personal beliefs ahead of the league's business. Here's what makes Smith's take different from the usual noise. He kept saying this isn't about being anti-anybody. His exact framing was that he's pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies, and that a person born male who transitions to female shouldn't compete against women in any sport, not basketball, not football, not boxing, not the UFC. He put it plainly. Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women. That's the same argument Cunningham has been making, and Smith knew it when he said it. He framed the whole issue as an 80-20 issue, meaning the vast majority of the public agrees with him and Cunningham. And he accused the league's old guard of being completely out of touch with where American opinion actually sits on this.
You trying to tell me that a college player for the men's at a college program anywhere in the country, or an NBA player should transition to being a woman and be allowed to compete in the WNBA?
What really sets Smith apart here is that he said the quiet part out loud. He claimed a lot of players in the league privately feel the same way but are too scared to say it, because speaking up gets you dragged online or blackballed by your own locker room. Reeve's shirt directly to the league's business, saying she made this choice during a nationally televised game against the most popular team in the WNBA, the Indiana Fever, and that doing it there was going to cost the league's sponsors and fans. He kept asking how she could wear that shirt with no regard for the WNBA, and its bottom line, like the financial side of this, didn't even cross her mind.
If you're a male and transition into female, you should be playing against the women. Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women. That's what Sophie Cunningham was talking about. That's what Riley Gaines is talking about. How are you, Coach Cheryl Reeve, and you could condone that?
So Smith isn't just taking shots at Griner's situation from a distance. He's calling for real consequences, and he's backing Cunningham's exact position, word for word, and putting Griner in her place. But if you think Smith went hard, wait until you hear what Cunningham actually said herself, because her version of this is even more direct. Reporters caught Sophie Cunningham right after a Fever blowout, microphone in her face, and she didn't dodge a single question. No hesitation, no, "I'd rather not talk about it." She just said what she'd been sitting on for a while. "I want to protect young girls in a locker room, or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. That's the line. Flat, direct, no yelling behind it, and that calm delivery is exactly what made it land so hard.
I played with BG for 6 years, and so I know her like the back of my hand.
On that same vein, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
She called it kind of common sense, and she meant it. Cunningham said protecting kids matters, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. Meaning this wasn't some abstract policy debate to her, it was about actual children in actual locker rooms. And because she said it so evenly, without raising her voice or pointing fingers at anyone specific, it hit differently than a rant would have. People expect outrage when a topic is this heated. Instead, they got a WNBA player talking like she was explaining something obvious. And that calm is what took over group chats and comment sections within hours. In the ESPN interview that came out the day before, Cunningham pushed back on how people were reading her position. I got a lot of negative feedback about me hating trans. And I'm like, I never once said that. She kept going, I think that I am here to extend love. But I also think with that love is truth, being honest. That's her whole framing right there. Love and honesty in the same sentence. And she wasn't backing off either one.
Everyone always is coming at it as a negative. Well, me coming out with that, there's so many people who are coming out with the positive, saying, you know what, finally someone has said something. And I don't really look at either side of those, because I know whatever I say, I'm gonna get hate and I'm gonna get love. And if I'm gonna live by the love, I'm gonna die by the hate. And that's just not who I am. I beat to my own drum. And so people are always gonna have something to say. You could win the championship, you could be the best at whatever it is, and there's still people who are gonna hate on you. And so that's just what this world is. So I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. And I'm gonna continue to be that.
Then she went straight at the legal side of it. Cunningham brought up Title IX by name, saying, when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. She tied the 1972 law directly to the existence of women's sports as we know it, arguing, that's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. That's not a throwaway comment, that's her connecting 50 years of legal protection to every record, every gold medal, every packed arena women's basketball has ever had. Her timing lined up with something bigger too. The Supreme Court had just ruled on June 30th, 2026, that states can ban transgender women from women's sports. And Cunningham's comments sat right inside that same framework the court had just laid out. Fans backed her instantly, and so did political figures who saw her comments as proof the public mood had shifted. Other players and commentators pushed back hard, accusing her of targeting a group that already faces enough scrutiny. Both sides showed up loud, and neither one was going anywhere.
When it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
What matters is she never said this was political. To Cunningham, it's fairness and safety, plain and simple, not a stance against anyone's identity. That distinction is why she kept repeating the word love, even while drawing a hard line on competition. And the moment her words went public, they landed on top of every rumor already swirling around Griner. The prison claims, the videos, all of it. Somewhere in there, the alleged leaked DNA story kept getting passed around too, adding one more log to a fire that was already burning hot. Cunningham never said a name. She didn't have to, because everyone watching already knew exactly who she was talking about.
I don't dislike anyone. I think there is room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women. And I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community. Like I said, I think there's space for everyone.
Go back to 2024, and this is where the pattern really starts. Griner poked Clark right in the eye during a game, and instead of it getting talked about as a dirty play, Griner turned around afterward and complained that the crowds Clark brings were too big for her to concentrate. Think about that for a second. The rookie gets poked in the eye, and the veteran is the one complaining about attendance. Clark didn't say much back then. She just kept playing, kept scoring, kept bringing in the crowds Griner apparently couldn't stand. That's the tension right there. One player getting hit, the other one annoyed that people showed up to watch.
It felt like she took some contact there from Griner, doesn't get the call. Clark working the baseline, it knocked off the underside of the backboard, did a nice job to recover, and bounces inside, pretty fine to me.
This whistle is for a clock issue. Clark still upset after that hit.
Oh, this is what Caitlyn Clark is upset about, the screen set by Griner. Yeah, in a little bit movement with that right.
Fast forward to 2025, fever against the Atlanta Dream, Griner's old team, and Griner delivers a body check on Clark that shows up clean on multiple camera angles. No whistle, not even a foul call, let alone anything flagrant. On top of that, Griner allegedly yelled profanity at Clark straight from the bench. And again, nothing happened. No technical, no fine announced, no statement from the league. That's twice now where Griner puts hands on Clark or mouths off at her, and twice the officials somehow miss it completely.
Look at this finish, down low. She's been doing this all year. I am so impressed with her inside game. She gets inside that paint amongst the giants and just destroys people. Caitlyn Clark, another sweet feed. And watch this, they called a timeout, not a foul. Watch her grab Caitlyn Clark's arm clearly. Like, they didn't call this a foul. Look at that. Are you kidding me?
Then 2026 rolls around, Griner's now with the Connecticut Sun, and on June 13th, she does it again. This time, it's a moving screen, full body contact, driving straight into Clark. And it's the kind of illegal screen that should draw an automatic whistle. It doesn't. No foul, no flagrant, nothing. Multiple angles caught it clean, and the referees let it go like it never happened. At this point, it's not one bad call anymore. It's a pattern. And the 2026 Fever blow out the Sun 123-88, and Clark scores a bucket, turns, and points at the scoreboard. That's it. That's the whole crime. And the referees hit her with a technical foul on the spot. Real contact against her all game long. Ignored. Pointing at a scoreboard. Punished instantly. Clark said afterward the call made no sense, and that the official seemed like he wanted to insert himself into the game. The league quietly reclassified it later, changing it from a personal delay of game to a team delay of game, which is basically an admission something was off. But by then, the call had already happened live, in front of everybody.
BRITTNey Griner, who I can't stand, sad that she's a Baylor grad.
Yeah,
she called her a trash expletive white girl. That was the lip reading. Yes, trash white girl. Trash blanking white girl is what she says.
BRITTNey Griner is, in fact, a man.
What's wild is Clark just keeps playing through all of it. In that same blowout win, she puts up 27 points and 11 assists in just 27 minutes, and even got caught shushing the other team's coach mid-game, which she later said was worth the technical. She's not out there retaliating or hunting for cheap shots back. She's just balling, game after game, while the referees let Griner get away with contact that would draw a whistle against anyone else on the floor. At some point, fans stop being mad at just Griner and start asking why the league's officiating looks the way it does. Missed body checks, no free throws against blatant fouling, a phantom technical for pointing at a scoreboard. That's not one bad night, that's a trend. And it's exactly the kind of pattern Stephen A. Smith and Sophie Cunningham have been pointing at from the start. Cunningham said what plenty of players think but keep locked behind closed doors, and Smith backed her up loud, on national TV name by name. That combination is why this story refuses to go away. The WNBA can stay quiet on the officiating, quiet on Griner's circumstance, quiet on all of it. But silence isn't neutral anymore. It reads as an answer. Show your support for Sophie Cunningham down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.